According to the Humane Society, 3.7 million dogs are euthanized in 1 year. That ends up being 10,000 dogs a day, 7 dogs a minute. Everyone at one point has thought about if they wanted a dog, and everyone wants one for a different reason. And today we'll be talking about if a dog is right for you. I've owned a dog since I was 7 years old, and as I have gotten older, I have adopted 2 more dogs. I will explain the responsibilities of pet ownership, as well as the costs and potential health problems with a dog, and daily tasks and tips to help with your dog. Here are some things to consider when thinking about if you're going to adopt a dog. Dogs can live to be up to 16 years old. You need to make sure that you have that commitment for a dog for 16 years. The next question you have to think about is, do I have the correct environment for a dog? Some dogs prefer to be in an apartment setting, which require very minimal energy and exercise, whereas some dogs prefer to be outside dogs. The next question is, do you have a personality that's suitable for a dog? Some people don't make good pet owners because they're OCD and they're perfectionists, which tends to be a problem if you have a dog because dogs are not always going to do exactly what you want them to do. And the last question is, do you have time? Dogs require at least a minimum of 20 minutes of activity a day, and some dogs can require up to an hour to an hour and a half of daily exercise. Now that you've thought about some of the responsibilities of dog ownership, let's talk about the costs. You have your obvious costs for dogs, which are your food and your vet bills, along with accessories such as collars and leashes. Some not so obvious costs are grooming, cleaning supplies, bedding, dental care, training, and medication. So the average cost of a dog for its lifetime is $12,458. According to Dr. Foster and Smith of PetEducation.com, the average cost of a new dog in the first year is $1,977. That normally includes an adoption fee and also get them spayed and neutered and their first year shots if it's a puppy or their annual vaccinations. Not many people think about their dog getting sick, but when it does, it's very expensive. According to Terry Elam from the Highland County Humane Society, the most common health conditions for large dogs is hip dysplasia, and the most common problem for small dogs is back problems. Other problems that a dog can encounter are flea bites, cancer, ACL injuries, just like a human can, also allergies and wounds. Now that you know what your injuries your dog may encounter, let's think about your role as a pet owner to your dog. There's some guidelines for when giving dogs treats other than dog treats and dog food. Some foods that you definitely need to avoid with your dog is grapes, avocados, macadamia nuts, raisins. They all have harmful chemicals in them for dogs. Also, raw meat and eggs for the same reason that we should not eat raw meat and eggs because of bacteria. Chocolate and dairy products are bad for dogs because dogs are lactose intolerant after about the age of 1. And then peaches and plums in the pit, there's a chemical that is in the pit that is fatal to dogs. Also, fat trimmings and salt should not be given to dogs. According to WebMD, some recommended treats for dogs are carrots, watermelon, cored apples because the core is bad for dogs, oranges, cooked potatoes, and cooked pasta. The next thing you have to realize is you have to make sure that you have a good routine with your dog. You need to make sure the dog has water at all times. Even if they're caged, they need to have water accessible at all times. Dogs should also be fed twice a day instead of once a day, which most people think, because if your dog is only fed once a day, they can go 24 hours without eating, and then it also can cause bloat for the dog. Playtime is also key. For your playtime, whether it be indoors, you could just throw a stuffed animal for the dog to play with, or also your dog can be taken outside for exercise. And then you should brush your dog's teeth daily and give them a bath weekly. Now that you know, some helpful hints for your dog is apply sunscreen. Yes, dogs can get sunburned if they're light colored or if they have thin hair. Make sure you keep up with your dog's vaccinations and your dog has a safe place to stay in their house that they can call their own. And then also when choosing toys, make sure that your dog will not confuse its toys with a child's. And if anybody has any questions.
I just just have a comment.
Okay.
Our dog plays with those squeaky toys, and we have one of those Sophie giraffes, and she confuses it with that all the time.
Exactly.
She hears it and runs right for it.
Yep.
It's true.
Thank you.